What's up, everybody? Welcome to the August 2023 State of the Market. I'm here with my buddy Al Dragella. Al, what's up?
Hey, Bill. How you doing? I'm doing great. End of the week, survived the hurricane, and just looking to have a good weekend.
Yeah.
I cracked
Thanks.
this one just because it's always the beginning
Start of the
of the.
weekend.
Haven't had a sip, just cracked it. We can say the beginning of my weekends chatting with Bill. So
Nice. What an amazing way to start your weekend.
could it be
um,
better?
Thanks for everybody being patient with us and sticking around. There's people immediately in the room, so that's a good sign. So, yeah, I mean, have anything new in the market that it's caught your eye? Kind of feels like status quo for the summer to me a little bit.
Yeah, I would generally agree with that. I think there's some pockets of strength here and there, but it's on a card by card basis. I think I generally still believe it's a collector's market, but I think there's been some firming in general, of some prices. And I think if you look at, on the more modern side, as well, I think that Messi, has had a relatively strong 2023 after, a pretty terrible, I mean, I guess it makes sense for the World Cup as well, but it's stabilized. It wasn't like, like we've seen other times, peaks and valleys. So I think that's good. I actually picked up a Messi for the first time in a long time last night, as well. So I think that there's I don't know. I mean, I keep getting little things here and there, nothing huge, but it certainly still feels to be a collector's market. Lots of relatively low value slabs, lots of premium prices for the highest end of grading ranges. I'm thinking of an Oliver Kahn rookie that recently sold at PWCC for over $1,000. So I think that we're generally seeing that phenomena continue, which also makes sense because we see that in other collections, but in other collectibles. But I do think it's just great to be a collector because you can get a lot of the down market cards. I mean, somebody posted Hugo Sanchez rookie, PSA 5 or 6 for like $60, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's crazy.
that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
not even pre-boom, would you find a PSA 6 for that? I mean, PSA 6 is relatively tough. I can't remember if this is a 5 or a 6, but so I look at that stuff and I'm like, there's some great opportunities for people getting in the hobby, great opportunities for collectors, and yeah, I think that I continue to be, super bullish on the opportunities in the market.
yeah. I tend to, I'm definitely a little bit more discerning with my purchases right now, but yeah, there's a lot of like opportunity that I see. I'm definitely paying a lot more attention now since I feel the prices are definitely more in the buyer's range. You and I kind of had a pretty decent feel for when we thought things were getting a little ridiculous, and that's probably good. Just based on we couldn't catch our old brains up to when everything was going crazy. But then even once it got crazy, it got crazier, and we were kind of like, yeah, this is just ridiculous. And now it's to the point where it's like even some like big cards are selling at discounts, and maybe not the highest of grades of those big cards, but like George Best rookies and things like that like there was a PSA 4 or something that sold for like $1,600 or something like that, or I can't remember exactly. We'll see it. But it was like a
Yeah,
pretty low grade, and I mean,
and so that's actually interesting. So this is kind of what I was talking about. So you got that PSA 4, which we know sold close to, let's just round, 10K, a while ago.
yeah,
And then you've got the PSA 8 ending in PWCC tonight,
yeah,
that right now is about 16. Right. So didn't the last PSA 8 sell for like 50?
yeah, I believe it did.
Okay. So just as a percentage, that's at 30% of its previous sale. And yet on the PSA 4, we had one at 15%. And by the way, the 30% auction isn't done,
Right.
Tonight. So let's see where that goes. So, that to me is this is where the collector is getting more discount than they used to. And the people chasing the high-end cards are still getting a significant discount, even if it closed right now, but not nearly as much as the collector level, down below.
Right. Like I even saw on eBay, there's a George Best rookie raw that somebody just lowered their price to 900 pounds for like it's at 1,000, and they just sent a best offer for 900 to me today. Like, so, I mean, that's like under $1,200 for a raw, which, I mean, that's pretty, I mean, it's not to where it was pre-boom, but it's still, I mean, it's way down there compared to what we have been seeing. So
totally, like you'd have to take one that was like totally thrashed for that price.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. So yeah, I mean, again, it's back to there are opportunities, and it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm fascinated to see where this George West 8 goes.
Yeah. That's the one thing that hasn't ended that is in the soccer area, So we'll see where that ends. But why don't we start out looking at Golden? I have a couple of the weeklies, and then I have their elite auction. A couple of the weeklies aren't really worth sharing just because there really wasn't a whole lot of vintage. So we'll just start out with the elite. Which ended yesterday. And there was a little discussion on this triple auto sold for $134,000, which seems really good to me.
To me too. I mean, I'd rather, as a couple of people said, which wouldn't be surprising in a vintage soccer Discord, I'd rather be the seller and think about everything else I could buy.
Yeah,
on that.
Totally. I mean, it's pretty amazing triple auto, though,
Right, and the funny thing to me, this is something that dawned on me when I saw that card. I said, if that was a Leaf card, it would sell for like $6,000.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? Well, that's because we don't know if it's another
tops. And even though they're stickers, right, it sells for 134, right?
Yeah.
And that blows my mind. I mean, I just thought about that, and I'm like, wow.
It's just like it's weird how the perspective is different when it's a very similar type of product. It's just that who produced it makes it totally a different value.
And that is actually what also made me say, man, I'd much rather be the seller on that thing.
Yeah, agreed. And that kind of makes you kind of question a lot of the things in this hobby. You know what I mean? It's like, what exactly is driving this versus that? And it's the same thing with like, why does this grading company drive versus that? And, I mean, there's reasons behind all of it that we can understand, but, sometimes I feel like certain things really multiply the value of something. And, at the end of the day, it's the card, it's not everything else going around with
a couple of people thought this was their grail card, evidently, right?
Yeah.
And they were willing to pay for it. And, it was their maybe 3 favorite players, which, it'd be hard to argue with. And they went after it. For myself, I'd rather, there's a CR7 PSA 10 that sold for like, $50,000. You could get a Cruyff, PSA 7 Polarex for 20-25 right now.
There's a lot of grails you could get.
You could get the George Best PSA 8, right? And we're barely 2/3 of the way to this card, right? And you could sit on top of one of the best vintage collections ever, or you could have this one. So I wouldn't have even offered 6 figures for this card, but if people like it, I'm not about shaming people.
No, I mean, and it just kind of goes to show you the true difference between modern and vintage. It just, there's so many more people interested in modern versus vintage that, and that's the case regardless of sport. That's the case, it's just, that's the way it is. And, we always kind of, a lot of people throw the things in the Discord out about, well, if we're comparing vintage to modern, and it's like, it's not really, well, if they had the same demand levels, this would be worth X. Well, it's never going to have the same demand levels. So it's kind of unfair to try to even compare the two, because
Totally.
it's just a whole different market. And,
yeah, I mean, you almost need to compare. If you're going to do vintage, you better do vintage to vintage.
Yeah.
A different sports. But even if I was just going to stay in the mono world, and you just told me straight up before the auction, right? Would you rather have this card or the messy, the soul of the game one that's 2 off to the right, which is on card and has like a piece of a shoe or something? I would have probably said, I'll take that on card messy, even if I had no idea what the prices were going to be. Just if I was honest with myself, and hey, pick one of these two.
Yeah, just as a collector, and you had the option to have one in your collection.
Yeah, and I would probably have picked the messy. So, yeah, it just shows you that I'm wrong yet again.
Well, and 2022, 2023, it's a new product, so there's just more people. It's even when I owned the card shop, it was very much the same. Like you could have, like, just using, I don't know, let's use Wayne Gretzky or whoever, you could have a Wayne Gretzky autograph from a set 4 years ago versus a set that's in the current year, and that current year one selling for double or more versus one from a few years ago. And it's like, but in 2 years, that's going to be the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to keep flipping forward, or you're just going to be losing money. I mean, it's just the way that the modern market goes for the most part, unless you have like a very high, like a high demand set that everybody, becomes one of the monster sets, for that year or whatever. So, but yeah, it's interesting. And I think that, somebody was willing to pay $134,000 for it. And so, that's a monster card regardless. Right. So, yeah, I'd just rather have like 6 of these Gem Mint 10 Mundachromo messy rookies. Like but I get the autographs and the excitement of that. So,
but even that, I think, is a big sale.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen one sell in a while, so I'm not really sure like what they've been going for. But that seems like a solid one. But 10s are real tough in the Mundachromo, like relative to like the percentage of 10s versus the population. I want to say that's higher than most.
Yeah, because most 9s have been around, at least from my recollection, around 1,800 to 2,100. So it's a 10x multiplier on the 9. And yeah, I think at one point we were like, okay, just the 10s have got to be super hard because there's the centering. But I think, a few caught up during the boom, and it's just not. It's not like there's not like 5 of these. There's
47 out of 1,050.
Right. So it's still a 5% gem rate, but it's rare, but there's still 47, let's round up 50 of those.
Yeah.
Which, is it doesn't mean there's a ton, but it's also not it's not the most rare. I think the sticker is significantly rarer than this one, both in aggregate and in top grades. But we have the issues with the sticker of the fakes.
Yeah. It just seems like I did notice that they started to, like, the last few that ended have been selling back to where they were right when, kind of the shit hit the fan, when people are starting to get worried about those stickers. So
yeah,
at least I think just the excitement of him has kind of driven those up a bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how long term that affects. If people are really going to be worried about those fakes that kind of came out for that time period. I think they're not even grading it at the moment. Is that correct?
That's what I understand as well. So
yeah.
now,
Okay.
and at least PSA has a guarantee, and it is
Yeah, and the ones I was paying attention to were PSA,
Yeah,
so that makes sense. All right. Not a lot of vintage in here. Here's a Alifa Brazil team set with is that an authentic altered?
Yeah, if you looked at the card, it was kind of this weird cut on the Pele, which is obviously
Yeah, somebody cut it over here.
Yeah, you can see it on the back. I think even
down
better here. Yeah, so I think that obviously people don't like obviously trimmed cards in general, but that seems like got to be close to an all-time low price in recent history.
Yeah, so 6,000 is the hammer. So that's pretty. Yeah, I mean, just to get one for that, I think like if that's you could do a lot worse, like so. There aren't a lot of them out there, so if you want to get one, and that's in your budget, that might be your only chance.
Yeah, and there's other cards that are worthwhile on that set. I mean, they're not driving the boat, but it's certainly is interesting.
Yep. All right, a PSA 3 Maradona disc for just under $5,000. Seems like a pretty good price.
Yeah, it seems like I think it's a fair price in this market. This seemed like a pretty good one. I think somebody in our Discord picked it up, so that's pretty cool to get people to get these kind of elite cards. And it means that it hasn't been stuck, right? If it's graded correctly from PSA, so that by itself puts it in an upper echelon. So I think it's one of those really nice cards that it's still a lot of money, but I think it makes a collection that card.
Yeah, back does look pretty good. A Fangio in the soccer section.
Yeah, and this one was it's funny. It's actually trimmed.
Yeah, it's totally trimmed.
And so that's a bit of a bummer. And it still went for 2,500, which shocked me. Did you see the Nasasi supposed uniform? I looked at this so closely. It's below you.
Pass it?
No. It's right. It's the yellow and white.
Yeah. I mean, we've had conversations about this. I was actually going to bring up the game or the memorabilia auction for soccer, but then I just knew I would be like I just want to be a downer.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the same thing. I'm looking at it and I'm like, can I bid on this? Can I bid on this? Can I bid on this? And then no, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to think that. I mean, if I truly believed provenance for anything, which I'm just such a, it's my professional skepticism. I have a hard time. I would totally pay $2,000 for that if I believed it was worn by Nasasi.
Zero doubt.
Yeah, I would probably pay multiples of that if I truly believed it. So,
yeah,
because that would be like an ultimate thing for my collection personally. So,
yeah, and I feel the same way, and that's why it's just I just can't.
But people might be getting some because of that.
They could be getting huge value.
Yeah, exactly. And so just because I'm skeptical doesn't mean I'm just being conservative. And
yeah, it doesn't mean you're right.
Correct. Right? Yeah, I'm just erring on the side of caution. And anybody that believes it, and and it doesn't matter what I believe. At the end of the day, if the market believes it, then it doesn't matter. So, and I'm not even saying I believe it's fake. I'm just saying I don't trust that it's real. Does that make sense? So
totally. I mean, especially back then where there were no numbers, like it's one thing to say it was, which I actually think would be even better to just say worn by a team member most likely during this year based on our photos. And then instead of spending all this time talking in the documentation about the player that he was, talk about the process that of identifying this jersey to that team.
Yeah.
And how we know that jersey was worn by the players on that team. Even that would be a big help than telling us that Nasasi won the 24 Olympics, right? I know that, right? So I think that unfortunately there's like really nothing, and all the pictures they show aren't this jersey, right? So and I'm looking at, I've got, for instance, I broke out this, which is a photograph of the Bella Vista team in 1923, and I'm trying to line up the seams, where they are on the jersey, and I'm like, okay, it's clearly not 23, which is good because they say that it's most likely 31. So I'm like, okay, at least they're getting that part right. But it's just a bummer because I wish that we were so much tighter in this area of the market, because it would be fun to buy some of this stuff if we knew it was real.
Yeah, I have a 28 photo in front of me, and like it seems like that yellow is a lot more bold than like what I see on my photo, but it could just be the lighting also. So, but yeah, it's it'd be fun to, like, if I bought it, or whoever bought it, like it'd be fun to try to do some digging and see, like, if you could match the staining or something to somebody. It may not even be his, but at least you could match it to someone. And
exactly. And I honestly
amazing.
think just matching it to a team,
yeah,
and a year, I think by itself is
that'd be amazing.
It's amazing.
Yep.
And
you might have gotten the same price. You know what I mean? Just selling it as a Bella Vista game worn jersey. So anyway, that's everything from the Elite auction. So we'll head to a couple of the weeklies and see some of the things that ended in those. I don't know which one this is. Okay, this is the one that ended on August 10th. There's a few vintage soccer, including this Babe Ruth.
He was a great football player.
Yes, indeed. All right, a PSA 3 Pele for 3,000. That seems low versus the grade to me.
I think that it's finally showing some signs of potential softness. I'm not going to say that is softness yet. Based on one card, it's a pain in the ass because it's the oversized holder, right?
Yeah.
Which will just keep people like me away. Like, what a pain! I've got to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel for some of those sellers, but it is what it is. There's the PSA 2 Queagle going for $3,000 as well. See, there's a 9 Mundi Chromo going for 2,100, like I was saying earlier.
Yep.
So it's like a 10x to the 10. Yeah.
PSA 9 Mundi Chromo with the foil. That seems like that's an incredible grade for those. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be more rare, than the Mundi Chromo. I think there's certainly less than 59s. I do feel like it's the least wanted rookie, which makes sense to most people. I think that the issue is here, it's still a condition rarity. So as soon as you start to get to the 9s and 10s, it still brings good money. I think if you were to go down and look at the 4s and 5s, you'd see all the other cards outperforming this one. I'm saying that anecdotally because people just don't like the look of it, myself included.
Yeah. So the foil, there's only 110, and there's 24 9s, and there's 178 graded. So like 1/7 are 9s or higher.
So not a high number for recent cards, right?
Yeah. 3 Biffs for 1,500.
I kind of feel like if you were a collector, like if I was a kid, I'd be super excited to get into one of those.
Yep,
And I'd
totally.
rather have that than not as attractive 9, foil Mundi Chromo right there, right? I mean, again, this is me as a collector. The visual, the lineage on the 71 bis, I would display it, and just feel good about it
Sure.
in a 3.
Okay, an 8 for 900. What's this? An 8
for 700.
foil for 700. Yep.
I didn't even see that Starosta. Fangio.
Yeah. Authentic altered for 600. Here's an 8 for 400.
That's why I say I think those drop off quickly after the 9.
Yeah. This seemed like a pretty good price. It's pretty beat up, but to get any of those and already graded for $250 seems like a deal.
I love that in the 60s cards. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
I know it's slightly oversized, but this is one that's just like magical when you hold it. That 68 crack.
Yeah, totally. Like if I didn't have like a better copy, I totally would have like bid more than I did on it.
Yeah.
And that looks like that's about it. We're getting into the $50 range, so not too much. All right, I'll stop scrolling.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna keep scrolling. All right, and here was the other weekly that had a few. Hit a few vintage. Here's the one of your least favorite Pele in the rookie universe, where it has half of his face, but it's a 4, so it's unstuck.
Yeah, never stuck. Yeah, I mean,
it's a pretty and they're not super common when you look at the pop. So like,
I think if you're a completionist, like,
yeah,
you pick this one up and you feel good about it.
Yeah.
It just, to me, I'm like, man, I can go out to 10 dinners with my wife, or have half of Pele's face. I'll go out to the 10 dinners with my wife type of thing. But
here's a couple questions. I missed some comments. So, do you see a difference in the blue and black with the Aquarilla? I don't really see too much of a difference. I think that the market's still got to kind of hash that out. I feel like a lot of people believe the black is the earlier one, which I tend to believe. I mean, if they are the same, both up at auction in the same grade, I'm definitely going for the and looking similar in condition. I'm definitely going for the black over the blue. But I don't know how much I'm going to go, pay a premium for it. So, but that's probably an inefficiency right now. And at some point, if it ends up being determined, like where it becomes just standard acceptance that the black is earlier, we're going to start seeing those separate. And so maybe buying the blacks now might not be a bad idea if you think that that's going to be the case moving forward. But I wouldn't really attack it hoping that happens. I would just, if I wanted to add those to my collection, I'd probably want to add the black.
I think that's a totally fair approach. I mean, I think a lot of people push the black narrative, saying that the blues came in 59s, which I have also seen that they did come in 59s. I've also seen them come in 58s. So do I really believe that the narrative of the black being first is going to hold the day in the long run? I personally don't, based on all the evidence that I've seen, which is quite a bit. At the same point, like you, do I have a preference for similar look, similar price, similar grade? I would pick the black over the blue. But, would I pay 10% more? Maybe, but that's probably about the ceiling. So we're not talking about, many factors of the black being, more. in my mind. So I kind of look at it like you do, Bill.
All right. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you checking in all the time. We appreciate all of you guys checking in. Okay, another question was thoughts on the S-Day sticker long term, wondering about grading companies still grading them. I think this is going to be an issue that we run into just over the course of time. And, you just got to kind of do your due diligence and kind of make your best educated guess as to, is this legit or not? And then if do you want to buy it in a Beckett holder versus a PSA holder? Or, when that if you buy it in a PSA holder that you're going to at least have some sort of fallback if there's something, if it ends up being not real. I have to imagine soccer is just that, there's not a ton of experts in soccer at this point. And I think as time goes by, they're going to figure things out. And, at some point they'll probably start grading them again. We've seen that with other issues where they stop grading something for a while and then they start grading them in the future. When will that be? I have no idea. But if you believe it's going to happen, I mean, an S-Day sticker isn't a bad thing to buy at the moment, I would think. That's because that was kind of always like number two, behind the BIS. And we could argue that the high grade S-Day stickers are actually, for value relative, were just so much a better option almost. But
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to pull up the pop report here, but I mean the honestly for forever and even now I probably still have the S-Day sticker as my number 2 Messi rookie, despite all of the chaos, especially in a PSA holder. And that would be ahead of the number 35 blueback of the other ones for me, just because I love that headshot.
Yeah, I do love that 35.
But I mean, I would only do PSA holders now because the guarantee.
Yeah,
that's number 1. And what I think has happened, what do they call it? Panini Sports, like S-Day or something like that. Do you remember?
It's like just look up S-Day and it'll pop up. I think it'll be the first thing. Or 2004 S-Day.
Yeah, okay. That's Panini Stickers Colecciones S-Day. So, I would say that, they have the guarantee. There's 10 10s, which is half as many of the 71 BISs. And there's 41 9s, which is more or less the same, I think, as the 71 BISs. Maybe the 71 BISs have 50. So you're getting the second best Messi card / sticker that's definitely 2004, which for me has great eye appeal, that horizontal look.
Yep.
For, what is the last PSA 9? Messi went for close to 30, and this PSA 9 Messi went for 5. So you're getting it for 1/6 of the price. In what has always been a really hard sticker to grade. And so I feel like this is a good place to be. As far as Messi items, this would be an item that I, I'm carefully looking at in the 9 and 10, especially.
Yeah.
But only in PSA holders for me. So I think, there's a narrative where you could say two things. If nobody ever grades them again, well, the ones that are graded, especially the ones that have low serial numbers, probably have some real value to them, right?
Right.
Because the pop isn't increasing. But I do believe that they'll do some investigation with the FBI and they'll try to figure out what people were faking, and they'll have a much better thing. And then when they have that all wrapped down and some culprits are thrown in jail, they'll probably grade them again and it'll creep up. But do I think that suddenly we're going to have a ton of 9s and 10s coming out of the woodwork? No. So no, I think it's a good place to be now, especially if you can get them while people aren't looking at them or staying away. And then I do think it's a good place to be, long term. Again, no investment advice, but those are the narratives that I see.
Yep. These will probably be quick answers here. 59 Heinerly Pele considered rookie material? I would say yes. I mean, it's definitely not 57 or 58, but I would say that most people consider it in that universe. And
with the rookie constellation,
yeah,
which I think for Pele is generally 57 to pushing 60 in the case of the Quiggle.
Yeah,
which I know doesn't work for a lot of players, but that's how we've kind of shaken out with Pele over the years.
Yeah, it's kind of so many moving parts because that was dated earlier and it's kind of been pushed. So it's kind of like holding on for dear life to still be in the in rookie material. Yep. And then 70 Pele Panini World Cup sticker. I imagine best back would be the red and blue. And then the Beast Valita would be the second, right?
Yeah, I think in terms of rarity, the red and blue far away, those are all hand cut, so keep that in mind. They're all hand cut. Then I actually think the international back, the red and black, is actually rarer, but it's more commonly found in better condition than the Beast Valita.
Yeah,
which
that makes sense.
Is hard to find. There's a lot of them in Italy, but most of them are stuck or in PSA 2 to 4 range.
Yeah.
So the Beast Valita becomes more attractive as you get to higher grade. And then the most common is the green, which has the same thing as the Beast Valita, but it's also harder to find in good grade.
All right. Back to the weekly. Let's see if there's anything else. Pack of 77 for 400. That seems like not a bad thing if you want one in your collection.
Yeah, that seems super cheap to me. And, I can't look at all these options, but I would have been a buyer there for sure.
Pretty dinged up crack Maradona for 342. I mean, it looks like there's a lot like paper loss at the top, like or like a mouse chewed on it or something.
Yep.
Bergman Beckenbauer 2 for 300.
All depends on the back for that one on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're down to $100 bucks.
All right. See ya. All right. And so then we'll go to the PWCC premiere auction, which some of it ended yesterday, right? And then
the best is ongoing.
Yeah. So here we are. This is what's still going on for soccer. And it's the best PSA 8. There's 2 9s and there's 9 8s. So these are the ones that ended yesterday. So we have a PSA 5 for 10,000. So relative to that 3 for 3,000 kind of makes sense.
Yep.
25,000 for a 9.5 bis. 40,000 for a 7 Quiggle. Holy shit.
That was a 7, first of all, is huge.
Well, that's more my holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's still kind of a big number given everything that's going on, right? But it is, would I rather be the buyer or the seller there? And, for me, I would rather be the seller there at that point right now in this market.
Yeah.
But having a PSA 7 Quiggle is also amazing. It's got to be, there's what, just a handful higher, like 3 or 4?
Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many more.
Oh, here it says on your screen, I got my glasses on. just 3 graded higher. So,
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, his top 5 Queagle. It's one of the best eye looking stickers out there, in my opinion. So in general, a 7's huge. I don't remember seeing if this one was fuzzy or not. The
The
registration.
registration looks like he's rolling his eyes.
Oh, see, and that to me ruins the card for me. If it's a little fuzzy or not.
Yeah, so it looks like there's 3 7s, 3 8s. And then that's it. So yeah, if you like,
it's okay.
I'll show it to you when. Well, this one's done basically because we're done with the.
Yeah, it's just so
I'll
few
pop
cards
to the actual page for it.
So yeah, that one. I mean, certainly, if we don't think it's a 7, then I'm definitely the seller. But
I mean, it's just a registration thing, like.
Yeah, but he looks like he's looking up at the ceiling, which that one's I've always hated that.
Yeah. So.
I mean, at least it's not too fuzzy.
Right. Like it doesn't look like it's like the registration of everything. It just looks like the black registration was up.
Yeah.
Like it's printed higher.
Yeah. So
all right.
Still a big sale. Nice to see some of these cards hitting the market like that.
Yeah, that's a nice one. And then I'm just gonna kind of share a few, like basically I just looked at the completed auctions for the last month for PWCC's weeklies. And we can kind of just quickly scroll, and if something catches your eye, we'll stop and talk about that. So basically, this is the start of like early August, and it was interesting to see some of these 3 nuns getting sold, and selling for decent prices. You just don't see them being offered too often,
Yeah, and they're tough cards, so you know.
So and Arthur Smith isn't like a big name, so to get 400, I think is a pretty solid sale.
Yeah. Albert goes for 150. That's pretty a solid price for somebody that doesn't have a ton of people talking about him.
Yeah.
These Garincha 58s.
Yeah.
Those have been going so cheap for whatever reason, but and every time I see them in a sold auction, I'm like, holy shit, I would have loved to pick it up.
Yeah, and look at this one. You can see the whole border.
White. Yeah. So those have been. There's been a number of those, and I've missed every one. Whoever's picking those up are getting great deals.
Yeah, agreed. $1,000 for a 4 Pele San Giorgio.
Seems like a good. In this market, I'd rather be the seller, but still, it's a great card. Hard to get in a 4.
Yeah,
really nice.
It says population 1 of 2 with 4 graded higher, but I agree. I think I would prefer to be the seller.
Yeah, a couple of rare. There was a Kubala and Puskas there that I personally missed out on, but I think they're awesome cards.
Yeah, I love those designs.
Those nice. The colors that just pop.
Yeah.
Wow, there's an 8. Is that an 8 Gordon Banks rookie for 140?
Yeah.
No, that's nice. Would have liked to pick that one
up. Seeing some older Spanish issues, they're always in the bigger holder because they're a little oversized, but
they're generally bringing in $100.
Yeah,
I've noticed
some you get big name players for reasonable prices.
Yep, anywhere from between 80 and 120, we're seeing them.
Yeah.
That's a decent PSA 8 more. Going for 160. Again, not a hard sticker, but a hard sticker in an 8.
In that grade, right. Yeah. 65 Mueller for 372. PSA 5. So that's a good grade.
I think I'd rather be the buyer there long term.
Yep, agreed. Here
Some
we
of these
have
fun.
older Eusebio.
Yeah, those were fun, and they've been doing pretty well.
Yeah.
All of them are pretty much ones are authentics that we've had in a number of weeks, and I just hate that they're putting them in these oversized holders. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
There's another
Here's like one of the ones like we were talking about, 78 Americana Ugo 4 for $58.
I gotta start putting him in my searches. You know, if they're gonna go that cheap, they're gonna come to South Carolina.
Yep, 74 Cruyff PSA 7, which is a good grade. There's only 4 graded higher for under 1,000.
Great sticker.
That's a classic one of him. So
yeah, last time it traded, I think I want to say it went for like 1,500. So that's a discount, but
yeah,
not what we see in the overall market, right?
Like I bought a 6 for 600, like at the bottom, I think, and then like a 5 just sold for I think more than what I paid for the 6. So it looks like they're kind of starting to maybe tick up a little bit.
Build some momentum. Those are great stickers.
Yeah. Here, speak of the 70 World Cup Pele, a 5 for 800. Seems to be right in range. Yeah. Half of the full 66 AMBC, but to get a really early best, and that's a tough card to get in any.
Yeah, true. I just love the double.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. SGC 4 for 216. So there's some.
Did you see that Puskas? The one it was actually posted in the disc
Yeah.
Uncatalogued German issue, $500.
Yeah.
Seems like a good price. I know a 6 is a high grade. I mean, and I've been mentioning this in a couple times. I mean, I'm generally when I have it, and I've had a few of their cards now, I'm looking at them. I'm saying, would this cross over at the same level to PSA? And I'm thinking I'm generally giving them a 1 to 2 discount depending on the card I'm looking at. Look at the cards; they're still really nice cards, and the holder's great. But I mean, I think there's a general lower probability of crossing, CSG to PSA, at least in the holder. I'll tell you that. What was that comment?
Waiting for the day I can land a Bloomer 3 Nuns.
Yeah, it's on your wall, isn't it?
No, that's the Cadles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if that's what I had up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean I have one, but yeah, it's not up there. Maybe it will be. But yeah, that's a great card. The 3 Nuns are amazing, and I try to add some when I can, but it's hard to pay up if you have one or just at the prices, because I'd rather put that money into something different.
Yeah.
All right. Not a whole lot.
A lot of stuff we see a lot of, so
yeah,
nothing jumps out as being super surprising here.
Yeah, these are interesting. Those Brugueras, a Pele from 66. You don't see those
did well, but they're high grade for the issue.
Yeah.
There was 3 of them.
I wish that there was an easier way to sort this stuff, like for the completed auctions. Like we just like having multiple searches. Like I can search a certain ending date, you know what I mean? And then sort it by like sales price. Like that would be great. Nikita, if you're watching, hook us up.
This the Socrates there is an awesome issue. This particular one's trimmed. It should have a white border. So just keep your eye out for that if you have.
Yeah, but that's sold for 600 even as is,
Yeah. I mean, not a ton, and this is what I felt in the weeklies, especially in the there's just it's been a reduced number of vintage screens. There's another nice Eusebio
Oh yeah,
over there, 500. It's been kind of the floor on those, which is
yeah.
pretty cool. So, I just feel like we are in a situation where there's just not a lot coming to market. That Zoff surprised me.
Yeah, that's a not one you see as much, the Lampo.
Yeah, and it's a good grade. I
Yeah,
don't know. Oh yeah, okay, it is the highest. I was like, wow, that's
yeah,
seems up
that's a
there.
good price.
Yeah, good card though.
Totally. Yep. Yeah, here's the 4 best that sold for 1,600.
Right.
I mean, it definitely has some like things going on at the bottom. Like there's some staining there. I mean, maybe it's a 4, maybe it's not, but still, to get a grade at best for 1,600, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot.
Look, there's one of those Sanchez's.
A 4 for
36
36
for a 4.
bucks.
And there's
That's
another
ridiculous.
one of those Garinchas.
Yeah, that's a
72.
2. Yeah.
Such a collector's market out there, guys.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
There's some great.
Even this
stuff
2
of it.
Pele for 1,400. Like that's.
And how's the back?
Crazy.
I guess you can't really see here.
Yeah, I'll open it up on mine.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, these things are just represent to me incredible value right now.
I mean, there's definitely something going on the back. It was probably removed.
But you can see all the white there.
Yeah.
In the border.
Yeah, I bought the one that you sold.
In golden,
like
right?
A 2 with a mark on it, and
that was what, 1,800, 1,600?
Oh no! Well, you might have gotten that. I think I paid 1,800, and it was a 2 MK. So
okay.
But I paid it plus the buyer's premium, so I was over
right. Okay, so it's 2,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now to have that, I mean, again, it's not. Look at this other. This is a hard one, the Rayuka from out of Venezuela.
A 4 for $60. I mean, here's a 2 Titulares Pele for $2,000.
Which those pops have not changed.
No.
In basically 3 or 4 years, except for a few.
Yeah, here's a 5 Realca for 70.
Yeah. So I think, it just takes a little bit of digging in here. Go deep, spend the time.
I like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd mentioned that card last time. Actually, I did pick up that pack, by the way.
Oh, did you?
It's the only 10, and I just, not sure how to check if those things are searched or not, or opened and resealed. So I just trusted PSA on this one.
There you go.
It's way more than I wanted to spend, but it'd been on my list for a long time.
Well, and it fits your collection with the set and everything, so that's cool.
Another look at that Garincha, $58.
Yep. Yeah, PSA 5 for $40.
Yeah, I like the 79 Zico Panini, and then what's that? $30.
Yeah, $38.
38. And then the Platini 5 for 500.
I mean, here's a John Charles PSA 7 for $150. That's a great buy, in my opinion.
I didn't even see that, but yeah, that's a fantastic
none graded higher, 1 of 2. A Platini 5 for $516. When was the last time we saw that sell for that low?
No, that's exactly the. Now this Falcao, I was in. I obviously I didn't win this thing. I needed to get out at that, but this one comes in multiple colors. This is the red. I have the blue, but it just is. It's a super rare sticker, but 3,700. Wow, man, somebody really wanted that thing.
Yeah, a couple people did.
Yep.
So awesome. We definitely see some things selling strong, depending on if it's stuff that we don't see too often, or this was a decent price for the Geo Smith, the 4.5 for 1,100. I mean, I think the buyer will be happy long term with that. I
think so.
Yeah.
I think if you're the seller, you're happy short term.
Exactly.
But the buyer, you're happy long term.
Yep. A Duncan Edwards 6 for 444.
Which is 3 graded higher.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather the John Charles 7
Yeah, I think you're
for a
right. I'd
third of the
rather have the John
price, you
Charles
know.
7.
But Duncan Edwards has the whole Man U lore, and so I get it.
It's a cool fatty Folk.
Where am I? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great card. 1,000. That's a solid price too.
Yep.
Here's is that the same one?
I don't. Oh, is it? Maybe. So it resold.
828. Maybe the search messed up. I think it's the same.
Oh, actually, now I'm seeing a few dupes. Actually,
Yeah.
you're right.
So okay. I think that it's just. I think we're through it. So. Yeah. Cool. So. Oh, just real quick, what will be the Honus Wagner of soccer for fun? I think we've kind of talked about this on the premium before. I mean, we probably are on the same page, maybe, with it being like the Meredith, the 1914 Meredith Taddy, just based on population and kind of there's a story on why it's short printed and things like that. And I think that that's going to be at least one of them. It's so hard with soccer because you have so many different countries, and it's not like in baseball where everybody's collecting the same thing. So I don't think there is a Honus Wagner.
I don't think there is, but if you draw the comparison of great pre-war player, non-rookie card, important set, lore around it not being cataloged for, people looked for it for 80 years. It finally gets cataloged about 2000, just a handful of copies. All those things kind of seem similar to the Honus Wagner, but I agree with you. I mean, there's no real card like that because the world doesn't collect. The baseball world, vintage world, almost always collects T206.
And the reason the Honus Wagner is that way is because there's so many of the other cards, so like you have like relative, it's so much scarcer than other cards in the set. So it's like, that's why it gets that lore also, because so many people are trying to build the set that
you can't get it. I mean, to keep it in perspective, most normal cards in the set will have thousands of graded copies of the T206, and there's 50 Honus Wagners.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just so hard. And he's a star, and the lore about why the card got, discontinued. The Taddy 13-14, the whole set got discontinued because of the war. So whatever they had printed first got out there, and then some other stuff never got fully printed or printed in very, very low quantities. So, so that's kind of, a big difference, but it's a fun conversation, and you could run,
you almost have to go country to country and pick something.
Yeah. Like what's this country's best, Honus Wagner card and why, and that would be kind of fun. That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that on one of our premium shows.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thank you. Anyway, another state of the market. That's I feel like we're kind of back into pre-COVID like expectations. You know what I mean? Like, it's what we experienced was exhilarating and devastating and everything in between. And now we're back to steady, slow, steady. Can take breaths, can pay attention, can pick and choose. It's not heading out west trying to grab land. It's just pick what you want, and you can save up and you can sell. You're not going to get what you got, but you can put it into something else. Things are a lot more steady and totally a collector's market. And for most of us, that's good. It's just for the people who are looking to, particularly in vintage, good luck flipping, nowadays. So,
Yep. And I do think it's just like we said many times. It's the year of the collector. You got to put in the work. The grind has always been part of soccer collecting.
Yeah.
And so if you want to find deals, whether it's on eBay or any of these country sites or dealing with people on Facebooks or Discords or, wherever, PWCC, it's going to take some time, but their deals are out there. So dig, find your right players, figure out your collecting strategy, and put in the effort, and you will be rewarded in this market.
Totally. And like, I feel like I'm to the point where I'm not putting that effort in. So now if I want something, I'm just going to have to pay more for it. And that's just how it works, and it's like, okay, you guys go find it, put it up for sale at an auction house. And if I want it, I'll try to get it, and I just know I'm going to pay more and you're going to make more money that way. And that's part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's fine. It was funny. I'm like, I don't know if you watched, I had an unboxing and I had a couple.
I haven't watched it yet. No.
Yeah. So I had a couple boxes, it's not a big deal. It's probably not worth your time, but I had some cards.
Always worth my time, buddy.
That I bought from Brad, some Italian cards.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just thinking, okay, could I have done exactly what Brad was doing? Right. On picking up some of these Piolas, Bonapartes, these guys. Sure, I could have. But guess what? I didn't. He spent the time. He worried about the shipment. It arrived to his house. He shipped them off, to CSG. He got them graded. He may have doubled or tripled his money. And good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that's part of how it works, Like I used to be that guy digging through everything and finding those deals. And, like now it's like you see the guys in the Discord just showing, hey, look what I got. Look what I got. And it's like, man, these guys are just putting in the work. And it's like awesome to see that they're reaping the rewards. And
the grind, that's the good thing about the grind in this type of market.
Totally.
It will always pay off.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
If you put in the time, you will be rewarded. If and it's great for people who want to build collections off the flip, which your collection was basically built like that, right? Buy, 4 or 5 things, sell a little bit, use that money, buy new things, and then you just build the whole thing. So you've got like very little in your collection. You can build.
I can't remember what I said, like when the boom started. I think I had
like a couple $1,000 or something.
Yeah, like I didn't have much into the whole collection. Like it was crazy because I would flip things and I would just keep, okay, I don't have really interest in this, or okay, now this is selling for more, just one of those, but I don't really care to have it, it's just like, and just keep doing that. And I think it was only $2,000 or $3,000 or something.
I think it was like $2,000 for like everything, right?
Yeah, it's pretty insane to like think about. Like I'm paying more in my safe deposit box fees.
I know, exactly. And now I think we're in a space where maybe not to that extent, right? But you could definitely build a great collection just by, grinding.
Yeah.
Flipping a few cards that you find well on the grind.
And now my collection, I think I have 20,000 or something into it. So it's still not a lot, relative. 16,000. Just looked it up.
Oh my Lord. So, how happy my wife would be if that was me.
Well, maybe. Maybe not. So, I mean, all you gotta do is sell a few cards and you'll be right there. So
it's maybe the more few that I need to sell, though. That would be painful.
Yes, I know. So anyway, I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, have a good time.
Yep. Good luck. Join the Discord. By the way, we started a Discord Instagram account. So look up Vintage Soccer Discord on Instagram and follow it. Gonna start doing some things on that just to kind of get a little more active with the social media game, I guess, and have some ideas. So please join, and we'll see you guys on the Discord, hopefully.
Take care, everybody.